Welcome back to CTV Newsnet and our special look at Obama and his so-called team of rivals. They waged a fierce battle on the campaign trail. Now, President-elect Barack Obama has brought former First Lady and Senator Hillary Clinton into his circle of closest and most trusted advisors, naming her to the position of Secretary of State. Some say it's a shrewd political move. Others argue it could be problematic for the new president. Here's what she had to say about Canada during her confirmation hearing.
We have an especially critical need to work more closely with Canada, our largest trading partner, and Mexico, our third largest. Canada and Mexico are also our biggest suppliers of imported energy.
That was Hillary Clinton talking about Canada earlier this week at her confirmation. And before we get to our next two guests who can help us understand the Clinton relationship to the Obama team, let's take a quick look at what Hillary brings to the table. She is, of course, named as Secretary of State. She's a former First Lady. She traveled extensively, visiting more than 80 countries. She was a U.S. Senator from New York, still is until she is confirmed. She was elected in 2000. Her husband, of course, Bill Clinton, has business and philanthropic activities that some say could pose a conflict of interest if she gets the job of Secretary of State. Joining us now from Washington to discuss this is Republican strategist Cheri Jo Jacobs and Democratic strategist and former Clinton pollster Bernard Whitman. Thank you very much for both of you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First off, who gets more out of this? Does Obama need Clinton more, or does Clinton need Obama more?
Well, I think certainly President Obama gets more out of it than Hillary Clinton does. I mean, Hillary was doing a fine job as senator from New York. She loves being a senator. Her presidential race is over, and she was happy to go back to the Senate. I think Obama made an extraordinarily bold and smart move by naming Hillary Secretary of State. She is someone who is known the world over. She's been to 80 countries. World leaders know and trust her. And I think it signaled early on in the transition process just how quickly and fundamentally politics were going to change in Washington.
Cheri, your view, who gets more out of this?
Actually, I think they both benefit politically from this. It was a brilliant political move. As you know, during the primary, it was somewhat contentious, and you want to keep your enemies close and your friends close, your enemies closer, I guess, is the old thing. Not that they were enemies, but you know, there were some feelings hurt there, and this was a good way to bring it together. She wasn't quite right for the vice presidential slot. That would have almost been a little bit too confining for her, having been First Lady and a very visible First Lady. So this was a very good feather in her cap. It gives her a degree of autonomy. And for all of the talk of her strong foreign policy experience during the primary, she really didn't. Compared to Barack Obama, she had foreign policy experience, but had she won the primary, she would not have looked good with John McCain in terms of her foreign policy experience. This gives her an opportunity to really beef up that part of her resume for a future run for president. And that's what I think this is really about. If there's, whether it's one term or two terms with Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton can run for president and really round out her resume. So this works out very, very well for both of them politically.
Which brings us to the next topic very naturally. Bernard, what do you think about that? Her presidential aspirations, is she putting them on hold, or is she saying goodbye to that?
Well, I'd have to disagree politely with my friend and colleague Cheri. The last thing Hillary Clinton needs is to pad her resume. Let's remember, she got 18 million votes in the Democratic primary and nearly won. The difference between Barack and Hillary at the end was very, very close. And I fundamentally believe that had Hillary been the nominee, she would have handily beaten John McCain just as Barack had done. So the idea that somehow Hillary has to go shopping around to put some other chits in her belt so that she can make a credible presidential run, I think is a bit of a stretch because she already has. What happens in 8 years down the road is anybody's guess. I think Hillary made a very strong run at the presidency this year. If she would choose to do that in 8 years, I think she would also make a formidable opponent.
Cheri, your view on that. Do you think she's going to run again? Do you think she has that in her mind?
Yeah, I do. I don't think it's something that she's going to be thinking about every day between now and then, but as the years wear on, certainly, and I do think she was vulnerable in the foreign policy aspect of things, and this really will help her. I mean, being Secretary of State pretty much takes care of that. I mean, she'll be up there with the likes of Madeleine Albright and Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice, and that really means something in addition to her other experience. I think that it would help her get the Democratic nomination very, very easily. Joe Biden at that point in time, if it were to be 8 years down the road, should there be a second Obama administration, Biden will be older than John McCain is. That might be too old. So this really places Hillary Clinton in a unique position where by that time any issues with regard to her husband would have hopefully been long resolved with regard to his fundraising and his foundation and anything else that's out there. So it really gives her a clean slate. She also doesn't have to have this job for the full 4 or 8 years. You know, at some point she could do something else, such as round out her resume even more and run for governor of New York. So this really does help her leave a lot of options open, which is probably politically the best thing for her. And I'm sure she's very appreciative to Barack Obama for that. Now, as a Republican, I don't necessarily want to see this, a Democrat that I disagree with on a lot of policy issues do that well. But
I wonder why that is.
But from a political analysis standpoint, this really is the perfect storm for Hillary Clinton, from my point of view.
Is it possible for Obama and Clinton to really sweep aside any personal animosity that might exist? After all, during the campaign, we saw those ads about who do you want answering the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning, the red phone, and she essentially said that Barack Obama has one speech, and that's about it. Bernard, what do you think about that? Personal animosity.
Honestly, the policy differences between the two were very small. And actually, the personal animosity between the two also was fairly insignificant. Certainly, between the two campaigns, there were some hard feelings, but that's what happens in politics. That's what happens in campaigns. Differences are magnified. People's feelings can get hurt, but we sort of have to get over it. Politics is a hard-nosed business. Once the campaign is over, Democrats come together, and actually, once the campaign is over, now Republicans, Democrats, and Independents are coming together behind Barack Obama. So I think that you're going to see a very strong, independent Secretary of State. She is clearly going to be heading the administration's policy, and I think that Barack Obama wants someone in that position that is going to speak her mind, that is going to stand up, that's going to take charge. We've seen Hillary already beginning to make her marks in the State Department in terms of the appointments that she's made at the Assistant Secretary and Deputy Secretary level. So we are seeing a signal from Obama that he wants a strong Secretary of State, and he's got exactly that in Hillary Clinton.
You know, I would like to add one thing. I actually think that there were really hard feelings during the campaign. There was in 2000 between George W. Bush and John McCain, but everybody becomes grown-ups in the end, and they join together, and they put the interests of their party and hopefully the country first. One thing I would like to add, however, as well, is that Hillary Clinton will be tied to Barack Obama, not as much as if she were his vice president, but if he and she and the administration fails in foreign policy, that will be something that she will have to carry with her. I hope for the sake of the country that neither of them fail. I think it's too important with everything going on in the world. But politically speaking, this really was something that works out very, very well for both of them. As I said, it's pretty much the perfect storm for her.
Thank you very much for joining me. Both of you are Republican strategist Cheri Jo Jacobs and Democratic strategist and former Clinton pollster Bernard Whitman. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.